Morning students. Today let us study Buddhist System of Education. Buddhism emerged around 500 BC in our country. In 563 BC, Lord Buddha was born. Buddha, he was the son of King Suyodan and he was brought up in a royal environment. When he was young, he was deeply moved by worldly sufferings. So that he started meditation to find a solution for it. And as a result of meditation, he found the right path and he propounded Buddhist religion. So this religion remained prominent from 1200 BC to 500 BC. So this period is known as Buddhist period, and during this period, a new system of education was developed by Buddhist monk. This is known as Buddhist system of education. Let us see the main features of Buddhist system of education. First main feature, administration and finance. Second one, structure and organization of education. Third one, aims and ideals of education. Fourth one, curriculum of education. Fifth one, method of teaching. And sixth one, discipline. Let us see one by one. First one, administration and finance. So in administration and finance, three facts need to be mentioned. First one, control of Buddhist Sangha over education. Control of Buddhist Sangha over education. So this education was controlled by Buddhist Sangha and not by the individuals. Second point, patronized by king. This Buddhist education was patronized by kings and monarchs. Huge donations in the form of money and land were made for construction and maintenance of mats and viharas. So, the donation that are provided by the king were utilized for construction of mats and viharas. Third one, free education. So, the free primary education. The primary education was free, whereas the fee was charged for higher education. So, free primary education, here the primary education was free, but the fee was charged for higher education. Then second feature, structure and organization of education. First one, primary education. Primary education in Buddhist system of education, it was organized in mats and viharas. So primary education was organized in mats and viharas. It commences at the age of 6 years and ends at the age of 12 years. So it started at the age of 6 years and end at the age of 12 years. Second one, higher education. Higher education, on the completion of primary education, an entrance examination was held for higher education. So for only the competent and successful candidates were admitted in higher education. So this education commenced at the age of 12 years and ended at the age of 20 to 25 years. So regarding higher education, after the completion of primary education, an entrance examination was held for this higher education, and only the competent and the successful candidate can admit or go on for this higher education. Then third one is Bhikshu education. So after the completion of higher education, the students who intended to preach and propagate this Buddhist religion, they could join this Bhikshu education. So not all students joined the Bhikshu education. Only the students who were intended to preach and propagate the Buddhist religion could join this Bhikshu education. To join this, one has to undergo Upasambhada Samskara. So duration of this education was approximately 5 years. So the Bhikshu education, its duration is 5 years. A student can become a monk on the completion of Bhikshu education. And after that, he could then propagate the Buddhist religion and carry out the teaching activities. Then let us see the third feature, aims and ideals of education. Here, the aims and ideals of education developed during this Buddhist period was very broad. Under that, first one, let us see the physical development. Physical development. Buddha himself advocated the need of good health. According to him, good health helps a man to escape from bodily sufferings. Moreover, he can go well with performing his duties. So, he must concentrate in performing his duty, that is karma. Second point, development of knowledge. According to Lord Buddha, the main cause of all suffering is in this world is ignorance. So, behind all suffering, the cause is ignorance. Therefore, to achieve nirvana, he emphasized on the development of true knowledge. Third point, education and social behavior. Buddhist religion is a supporter of human welfare. So this is the reason that too much emphasis was placed upon compassion and kindness. Without this compassion, one cannot understand the suffering of others. And without this showing kindness, one cannot meet the suffering of others. Then fourth point, preservation and development of human culture. Buddhist religion, it emphasizes the preservation of human culture. Hundreds of scholars were employed for preservation of ancient literature and in the creation of new one in that period. They prepared the manuscripts of ancient period and also they translated them in different languages. To preserve the literature, the libraries were built in that period. And fifth point, character formation. Buddhist religion, it places too much importance in self-control, compassion and kindness. Whosoever practicing these ideals possess good character. The students in mats and viharas are made to adhere 10 rules called Darshika Padan for character formation. The last one, vocational development. Buddhist religion preaches not to retract from the world but to overcome the worldly sufferings of hunger. Then education of art, then skill and vocation is also necessary. And education of Buddhist religion. Regarding this, special emphasis was laid on the study of Buddhist religion and it was a compulsory part of curriculum. First of all, the four noble truths were taught to the students and then they were trained in the eightfold path. Then let us see the fourth one, curriculum of education. Curriculum of education. This is the fourth feature. In Buddhist education, primary, higher and bhikshu education were organized in mats and viharas. Same curriculum was followed. The curriculum was categorized on two bases. First, on the basis of level and second, on the basis of nature. That means, that is worldly and religious curriculum. First one on the basis of level. On the basis of level, it is classified into three. They are curriculum of primary education, then curriculum of higher education, then curriculum of bhikshu education. So first let us see the curriculum of primary education. The duration of primary education was 6 years. So first of all, students of this level, that is this primary education, this level, it was taught 49 alphabet of Pali language with the help of text named Sitrast. They were taught to read and write the language. Morphology, medicine, logic and spirituality were also taught. Then general principles of Buddhist education were also taught and some knowledge of arts and skills were also imparted. This is about this curriculum of primary education. Then let us see the curriculum of higher education. Duration of higher education is generally 12 years. A general knowledge of grammar, religion, astrology, Ayurveda and philosophy were imparted. After that, specialization started. The curriculum of special education is Pali, Prakrit and Sanskrit along with the grammar and literature. Then let us see the third one, curriculum of Bhikshu education. Duration of Bhikshu education was 8 years. Those who intended to acquire higher education in Buddhist religion and philosophy, they could continue the education further. They were taught only Buddhist religion and philosophy, and its curriculum included Tripadagas. They are Suttapidak, Vinayapidak and Abhidhammapidak. For the comparative study of different religion, Vedic religion were taught to them. They were also taught architecture to construct mats and viharas and accountancy to keep the finance of mats and viharas. Then let us see the second classification on the basis of nature. First one, worldly curriculum, and second one, religious curriculum. First one, worldly curriculum. It includes education of reading, writing, mathematics, arts and skills, and vocational education like agriculture, cattle rearing, medication, and commerce. Then second one, religious curriculum. Religious curriculum was developed into two categories. First for general students and second for Bhikshu. The curriculum of general students included the study of Buddhist, Jaina and Vedic religion. Curriculum of Bhikshu education was the study of Buddhist literature, namely Tripada. They are Suttapidak, Vinayapidak and Abhidhammapidak. Next, let us see the method of teaching. According to Buddhists, there are three means of learning. They are body, mind and consciousness. Pali was the language of common mass and that was the medium of instruction at that period. Handwritten manuscripts were written and preserved safely in libraries. Teaching activities were carried out orally by lecture method, question answer method, logic, sammelan or conference method. Activity oriented subjects are taught by demonstration, imitation and practice method. Students of higher classes were given opportunity of self-study. Let us study the different methods of teaching. They are imitation method. First one, imitation method. It was the natural method of teaching and learning used at primary level. Language teaching began by this method and teacher pronounced the words and wrote the letter and the students imitated them. This is happening in the imitation method. Second one, question answer method. It is a natural method of teaching and learning. Children are motivated to ask questions why, when and how and mock answer them. Third one, explanation method. Chinese traveler Huansang mentioned this method and teacher used this method to explain the meaning of lesson in detail. This method was used specifically at a higher level of education. Fourth method, debate and logic method. Controversial topics were taught through debate and logic. Fifth method, lecture method. Great scholars of different subjects were invited to deliver lectures and they clarify the complex concept. Then sixth method, conference method. Conferences were held in higher institution of learning. Scholars deliver lectures and the students listen to scholars and get their doubt clarified. And the seventh method, demonstration and practice method. It is the higher form of imitative method. Subjects like fine arts, masonry, vocational subject and medical science were first demonstrated and students imitated, practiced and acquired by practicing. Then eighth method, self-study method. The art of writing and handwritten manuscripts of important texts were prepared and stored in huge libraries. As a result of self-study method of learning developed. Tour. Next one, tour. Students of Bhikshu education were encouraged to undertake long tours to understand the real world and to get training in propagating religion. Then next, let us see the next feature, discipline. Teacher and students both had to follow the rules of Buddhist Sangha strictly. General students had to follow 10 rules once they entered Vihara by a ceremony called Pabbaja Samskar. So the 10 rules were: first one, non-violence; second one, observe good conduct; third one, speak truth; fourth one, take light food at the right time; 5, avoid intoxication; sixth one, avoid backbiting; seventh one, avoid luxury goods; eighth one, keep away from dance and music; ninth one, avoid stealing; tenth one, renounce costly gifts in charity. Students who intended to pursue this bhikshu education, they follow 8 more rules apart from these 10 rules. They were to live under a tree, wear plain clothes, arrange food by alms, use cow's urines for medication, observe celibacy, non-stealing, observe non-violence, and non-claimant of divine power. Then adherence to these rules were termed as discipline. In case of any indiscipline or misbehavior, they were punished. Students were punished by bhikshus and bhikshus were punished by Buddhist sanghas. Students who misbehaved or break the norms of sanghas were excited from mats and viharas. They were exited from mats and viharas. Next, let us see teacher. Teacher is called Upajaya or Ubadaya. In Buddhist period, Buddhist monks or bhikshu carried out teaching activity. Some monks were called Upajaya. There were 4 preconditions to become Upajaya. There were first 8 years of bhikshu education after 12 years of higher education. Second one, to adopt Buddhism. And third one, lifelong celibacy. Fourth one, strict adherence to Sangha discipline. Only scholars possessing high morality and self-control could become Upajaya. These Upajaya had to make arrangements of boarding and food for their students, impart knowledge to them, guide them to overcome the worldly arrangement. Next, students. Students were called Sraman or Samner. Students were called Sraman or Samner. Students of this period were termed as Sraman or Samner. They had to compulsorily reside in viharas and follow 10 teachings. They had to get up early in the morning before teacher and had to make arrangements for morning prayer. Students unable to pay fee for higher education had to contribute the manual service. Next, let us see teacher-taught relationship. Teacher-taught relationship was sacred and cordial one. Teachers were like father to students. Responsibility of teacher towards students: to arrange boarding and food for students, to look after the health of the students, to provide knowledge of Pali language and Buddhist religion, to educate them about the do's and don'ts, to keep an eye over the activities and form their character. And last one, to show them the path of salvation. Responsibility of student towards teacher. First one, to get up early in the morning and to make arrangement for ablution of the teachers, to help teachers in organizing mats and viharas, accompany teachers to beg alms for residents of mats and viharas, to serve teacher in every possible way. Then let us see the contribution of Buddhist system to education. Beginning of central control over education. So this beginning of central control over education, it is one of the first contribution of Buddhist system of education. And second one, division of education into different levels. Division of education into different levels. Next point, nature of aims of education by period specific. Then fourth one, broad curriculum and specialization. Next point, beginning of classroom teaching and self-study. Next one, continuity of cordial relationship between teachers and students. Next point, beginning of school education. Then, beginning of mass education. Next point, equal education for men and women. Then more emphasis on education of arts, skills and vocation. Then continuity of religious and moral education. The students, they learn lesson from bitter experiences. So these are the contribution of Buddhist system to education. So thank you, students.